I believe one of the most powerful gifts you can share is your story. Sharing your story to be a beacon of light for others, empower change, and connect to the bigger world around you. This is how we heal. Everyone has a story worth sharing. These are the beautiful stories inspired by badass women and their lasting legacy. This is the Female Impact. Marilyn grew up in Texarkana, Texas as a granddaughter to self-made media force whose influence contributed to her journey. She lived her life through a strong lens of faith, giving, and living life to the fullest. Her wisdom is endless and will become her lasting legacy. She is the Female Impact. So today I have the great privilege of speaking to one of my dearest friends, Marilyn Augur. She resides in Colorado part-time, but we lose her to Dallas, Texas as well, where her homeland is. But Marilyn and I have been in each other's lives for quite a long time, many, many years. She came to me actually to help with some alignment therapy with Pilates training. As you can tell by her physique, she's maintained an amazing health lifestyle. And through the years, our relationship has developed into a deep, loving friendship. And I'm so grateful to be sitting next to you on the couch with this Female Impact series. And to just let people know what a light in the world you are. And so today we celebrate you and we talk about your story.
All right.
So yeah, welcome.
Here we go.
Yeah, welcome. So to start off, the way that I see you and know you, are in a very deep, real place. I think of you as one of the healthiest women of your age by far, and women 20 years younger than you. I think you have the title for that as well. But aside from that health, I think that's kind of the foundation of how you present yourself into the world. You are an angelic being on this planet Earth, and I truly believe that your way of moving through life, I know, and we'll start crying before the interview even starts. But I believe that your way that you're moving through life is such an example for all of us to become just an ounce better every single day. And I want to talk a little bit about how that came to be for you. And I know faith is a huge, strong piece of your life. Was that always the case? Did you come out of the womb feeling like faith is going to be one of your major pillars in life?
Well, in the world I grew up in, you didn't say my age, but it's 81, so it's a very
I had decided to let you
just
share that or not.
So, we were a very Christian nation at that time, based on the Judeo-Christian tradition. So my family went to church every Sunday, and I grew up in Sunday school with all the stories. And so I just thought that was the way life was. You really don't know anything else, and when you're
Except
that
your
young,
experience,
but
right.
your family's experience.
Right.
And so, when I went to college, I never went to church. But before that, I went to a high school. I grew up in a very tiny town, 13,000 people.
And what part of Texas?
Well, I was born in Texarkana and lived there till I was 10. But after World War II, my family moved to a small town in Arkansas for my father to head up a newspaper. So instead of taking math and science and history and English, I was taking English, typing, shorthand, and drama. And my father had planned for me to go to a college, which wasn't always normal for women back then. So he said to my mother, get her in a prep school. And my mother, being a human dynamo, she had me in 3 prep schools by the end of the afternoon. So I went to an Episcopal school. The reason I'm telling you this story is that had I been in Camden, Arkansas, I would have been in a car where 2 of my friends were killed. The church family there surrounded me with love and care. And that made such an impression. So this was an Episcopal school, and when my father took me there, unbeknownst to me, he said, if you can make her a better Episcopalian than we have Presbyterian, you can have her. So that when they came down, though, for Parents' Weekend, my mother said, how do you like school? And I went, well, it's really great, but we go to church every day at 7:30 in the morning. And my mother leaned back and said to me, "And how would you like for God to think about you just from 11 to 12 on Sunday?"
I love that.
I have never forgotten that. And you can tell how long ago that was.
I love that.
Taught the Bible class. My advisor also said, "You sign up for that class first or you won't get in it." They only held 300 people. It was in one of those huge theater classrooms. And the man's name, to this day I can remember, Bernard Barry. But what he really said in that class, he said, whatever else the Bible is, it is God's love letter to man. And you see, that's still a big thing for me. But what he did is he made the Bible come alive. At the end of the class, he would be telling a story. If the bell rang, he stopped, and the class would groan. I've never been in a class before or since where people groaned because the class was over. So,
that's incredible. So it really has been a practice in some form your whole entire life.
It has, but it has really been nurtured by many people.
It sounds like many incredible teachers along the way.
Exactly.
What a gift.
Exactly.
What a gift. And in along those same lines, who would you say are the most influential people in your life or have been in your journey?
Well, of course, my mother and my grandfather. My grandfather, my middle name is Clyde. Most girls would not like that.
After your grandfather? My middle name is after my grandfather. Yes.
Well, I loved having my grandfather's name. He just was so fabulous in my life.
And what was the one takeaway that kind of captures his essence in your heart?
I think what really captures me about him is I was a focus when I was with him. He was totally personally with me. My father was in World War II, and my sister and I lived for 6 weeks with our grandparents. And we would sit by the fireplace and play games at night. His pilot's license when he was 75.
Unbelievable.
Always learning.
So very ambitious.
Very ambitious. So
and self-taught, you said before with.
He went only to the 8th grade. But he read the great books. He had a wonderful library, some of which I have today. And then he was an accountant first. And then, this is such a funny story. He and my grandmother were going to Cuba on their honeymoon. But they, for some reason, got off the train in Texarkana. They had married in Fort Worth.
What year? Do we have any recollection?
This is like 1900. He died at 56. So he died at 80 in 1956.
Okay.
So he was born in the 1800s, 1875 or something. But
you were starting to tell about the honeymoon. So
they got off the train in Texarkana, and he went to work for the newspaper, and he later bought it and became the publisher. And that is our family.
Did they ever get
business.
to Cuba?
No.
That's great.
Well, I'm sure they got to Cuba later because he was one of the first people into Europe after World War II.
Wow.
And I have this booklet of the news stories that he wrote, and it has a picture of them walking down the street in Rome.
And then you mentioned also your mom being another influential light in your life.
Right. My mother had strawberry blonde hair. She was only 5'1", and she was loved by everybody. In our little town, everyone called her Betty. The milkman, we don't have milkmen anymore, but everyone.
But actually, milk used to get delivered to your front door. If you don't know this fact, this is something that used to happen. I think it's going to come back, actually. I do think the farm-to-table movement is bringing milk delivery back.
We had a chip man deliver chips to our house.
I mean, how good were those days?
They were awesome. They were awesome. But we also had ice boxes.
Right.
With ice in them, not refrigeration.
I know. Crazy times.
It's been great to see the world develop today.
Yeah, it really has. So the essence of your mom's spirit, how would you capture that?
She was very much her father's daughter. So I'll tell you a story about her. When she was young, my grandmother was very proper. When she was like 3, she's singing at the dining room table. And my grandmother said, "It's not proper to sing at the dining room table." My mother slipped.
Your mom's 3.
Yeah. My mother slipped off her chair, sat underneath the table, and never missed a beat singing.
I love it.
So she and my grandfather were just really lots of fun. She was the apple of his eye all of her life. And I think she learned from him to be so giving, and they, to me, were examples of giving. You know, as I've told you, he started a foundation for education in his town of Texarkana, and they named a library after him. And I thought, if I ever could, as I watched his foundation, I thought, if I ever could have a foundation, I would like to do that too. So I would say their impact on me, besides everything else, was to be giving.
It really shaped your life, and it certainly is how you've chosen to live your life. One of the legacies that I see from my vantage point, and I would love to know where you feel like you want your legacy to be, but is very much in how you've given in this world, not just through your heart and your time. I feel like you're Marilyn is one of the most giving people of your time. She literally has, I think, guests staying in her house, I don't know, 360 days of the year, if not 365. But you're always welcoming. It's always open door. But the other side of you that I find so admirable, and one of the things that I hope to implement more into my life as I continue down my journey, is the legacy of your charitable giving and what you've done from your grandfather's dream that you had. Tell me a little bit about how that came into fruition in your life.
Well, I didn't know if I would ever be able to do that, but I have one of my very first friends in Dallas was a lady named Liddy, and she and I have been friends for 50 years now. You know, if you're my age, you can have things that are gone on for 50 years. But she, we shared our dreams, and I had shared that dream with her, and we had talked about it for a long time. And then at one point, there came an opportunity for me to sell a business, and I was able to start the foundation. And so the mission or vision statement is really the scripture that said, I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. I was in prison and you visited me. You know, and so those are the core values of the foundation that we started. She has been on the board ever since we founded it in 1989. And it has been quite a journey for all of us. So we follow the different parts of that scripture, but we also give to early childhood education. We only rarely give outside of that scriptural part. So,
and I feel like there'll be plenty more segments with you on that, because I want people to know all of the work that you're doing with clean water in the world. I mean, there's a ton going on behind the scenes with that foundation. Really is. Do you want to touch on that just briefly to give a little nugget?
This is so funny because my daughter graduated with her MBA when we started the foundation. So she and I did everything together, and she had a brand new baby. So the baby came along to the lawyer's office, the accountant's office, with me sitting there in her little seat. But after she left, when she had her second child, one of my very best friends was head of our family foundation. And I said, you know, people don't really come to our offices. We have plenty of places to give. And this man from Ethiopia shows up at our office. And she said, no, you have to go away. He said, no, we need to pray together. And so we had been, Nancy and I, who ran the foundation, had been invited to go to share something called Curcio in Kenya. And he said, well, you're going to Kenya. Will you come to Ethiopia? And we did. And then we saw people, a little Muslim village, at the curve of a river. The river was filthy. It was so heartbreaking. Anyway, that involved us getting started in a water ministry to Ethiopia.
A wake up moment. And we will continue. But again, your spirit and light in the world is you get involved. I feel like with your grandfather's spirit you just described, you really, you're full committed. You're 100% game into life. Some of my favorite stories is that you're still skiing how many days a year?
Well, maybe 50.
I mean,
don't
50
know.
days a year. And it's not, I'm telling you, it's not green runs that you're taking, because you come in and they're bump runs, up, down, black runs all day long with your instructor. And you're doing Pilates every single day of your life. You're giving, you're participating. And that's one of the things that I think is the biggest message with your story,
Right.
is don't stop living.
Right.
Don't stop getting involved. Don't stop participating, because
That's true.
you are a life example of how rich that experience can be for you, but also for everyone in your path, that we get to experience
Thank you.
what that impact really looks like. So thank you
Well,
for
you're
sharing
very
that.
sweet to say that. I do really enjoy life. And people will
You
say
don't
about
say.
me, people will say about me, you're not bored. I'm going, no, I'm not bored. I might be
Your
a little
schedule.
tired.
I
but-
thought my schedule was busy, but your schedule's crazy. So how would you like to be remembered in this beautiful life of yours?
I would like to be remembered first and foremost as a woman of faith. I would like to be remembered as a mother who cared and wanted to raise independent children of faith. And the last, I would like to be remembered as a good citizen who cared for our country deeply. That's how I would like to be
Honestly,
remembered.
I feel like you can rest, because all three of those things you have done beyond. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's not just one, it's all
You
three.
are such a good friend.
No, I absolutely admire everything that you've done in this world. So
Thank you.
bravo to you.
Thank you.
Red, and thank you. So who was the most influential woman in your life?
My mother, for sure. My friend Liddy taught me so many things I did not know. One of my very first friends. And I have to say my children.
I love that. Your
have
daughters.
been- yes, my
Yeah.
daughters have been amazing.
That's awesome. What do you feel like the world needs more of?
Faith and love.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
What brings you happiness?
Besides skiing, being with my family, sharing my home here in Colorado with friends.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, I would say. What does badass and beautiful mean to you?
You.
And you!
No, you, Liz, you are just badass and beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I think that way about you. I'm just trying to follow in your footsteps.
Thank you. Badass is not in my vocabulary.
Are you kidding?
Just for today.
Miss 81 years old going down moguls. I don't even go down moguls anymore, and she's doing bump runs every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new definition. I know it wasn't really a vocabulary word in your time, but welcome to the age of badass and beautiful. And then complete this sentence. I want to be.
I want to be loving.
I love it.
I want to be kind. And I want to share my faith.
I love it.
That's not a B, that's a 2.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you,
It's been
Liz. It
amazing.
was really fun to do this.
I love it.